Currently, the COVID-19 outbreak in more than 10 provinces that occurred before Tet has largely been controlled. In addition to the recent outbreak, the result of Vietnam's COVID-19 prevention efforts since the beginning have always been highly evaluated by the international community. In the past week, major international newspapers have continued to laud Vietnam's experience in fighting the pandemic.
With the title, Vietnam was ranked second for successfully handling the coronavirus pandemic, the U.S. news website Business Insider commended Vietnam for its fast and powerful anti-pandemic work. The article quoted Kaman Manhotra, Chief Representative of the United Nations in Vietnam, about the three key factors to Vietnam's success being tracing, testing, and messaging. Manhotra also affirmed that there has always been skepticism of Vietnam's success and the authenticity of its published information and data. But the reality is, the data is recorded in real time and no changes are made. Meanwhile, French newspaper Le Humanite highlighted Vietnam's work in achieving the dual goals of containing the pandemic while developing the economy. The article said that Vietnam's great performance in the fight against the pandemic has been the driving force in promoting its position in industrial development. The news site Credendo, a major European credit insurance group, published a very detailed study on Vietnam. According to them, investors' confidence affirms the efficacy of Vietnam's anti-pandemic strategy.
Recently, US-based Human Rights Watch claimed that Vietnam has been using COVID-19 prevention measures to justify human rights violations. In the following report, we'll see what their claims are and how Vietnam's prevention measures have proven effective and have been highly lauded worldwide.
Fake news has not been uncommon during the pandemic and has caused great confusion among the public. In just the first 3 months of the pandemic, police forces identified over 600 cases of false information being posted about COVID-19 on social networks, 134 of which received administrative sanctions. Recent reports by the Human Rights Watch claim that the move violates people's right to freedom of expression and human rights. These are unobjective assessments and are contrary to human rights.
Measures to take out false information are necessary and need to be implemented by any government.
Gatherings can cause the virus to spread faster. However, Human Rights Watch said that the ban on gatherings violates the rights of people to assemble peacefully. This is an unreasonable claim and deprives people of their most basic human rights, their right to health and the right to life. Vietnam's drastic actions have been appreciated worldwide and have helped prevent COVID-19 effectively. So far, the country has recorded nearly 2,500 infections and 35 deaths.
Countries like the US and Europe do not implement drastic measures, which result in high numbers of infections and deaths. In Vietnam, the pandemic is under control now, so I think all measures taken by the Vietnamese government have been appropriate.
Social distancing and quarantine measures demonstrate the government's determination to combat the pandemic and ensure social security and people's health.
Human Rights Watch also said that there was inequality in access to social services and government support in Vietnam. However, Vietnam's policy to leave no one behind has been implemented by the party and state since the beginning of the outbreak. In early 2020, Vietnam organized hundreds of rescue flights to repatriate tens of thousands of its citizens from pandemic-affected areas.
I'm very grateful to the government that I have the chance to return home.
So I'm very grateful for you. Your doctors are amazing people.
Human Rights Watch claims that Vietnam has used COVID-19 measures to violate human rights are completely false.
There have been two recent global surveys in which Vietnam has been featured. One was a survey covering 45 countries in terms of how different citizens viewed their government, whether it was taking adequate measures. Vietnam came up close to the top. I think that's a very good outcome for Vietnam, globally speaking. There's clearly faith in the government at the moment.
It was announced on the 22nd of February that Vietnam will run for a seat on the UN Human Rights Council in the 2023 to 2025 tenure as a candidate from the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, or ASEAN. Human rights have always been a major concern for the party and state. Amid the COVID-19 pandemic, all necessary measures have been taken to protect people's health and lives. These efforts have reinforced Vietnam's dedication to becoming a member of the UN Human Rights Council.
Has claimed desiring to further contribute effectively to joint efforts in protecting and promoting human rights. Vietnam presented its candidature for membership of the Human Rights Council for the term 2023 to 2025.
In 2013, Vietnam became one of the 14 new members of the UN Human Rights Council for the term 2014-2016 for the first time. During that 3-year period, Vietnam made significant contributions.
During the 3-year period, Vietnam participated actively and responsibly in all activities of the UN Human Rights Council. Vietnam has come up with many initiatives such as resolution on promoting the rights of vulnerable groups and combating climate change. These have been approved by the UN Human Rights Council and over 100 countries.
Vietnam's bid for a seat on the UN Human Rights Council for the second time demonstrates that the international community highly appreciates the country's effort and contributions to promoting human rights both in policies and implementation.
Vietnam has much to be proud of when it looks at its human development accomplishments over the last years. And if we look at the Human Development Index, where Vietnam is a low middle income country, that it's achieving high human development group results